It is the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast. Hello, welcome, and yes, if you're watching this, your eyes are correct. That is Dave in a Detroit Lions t-shirt after our head-to-head bet off on Thursday night has been fulfilled. He's a man who pays up on his dues. Dave, you look great in Lions blue.
Thank you, buddy. Fortunately, it's not too far off from some Cowboys color scheme, so I don't feel too dirty wearing it. If you did not watch the show on Thursday, Greg and I put up a little head-to-head wager based on some same-game parlays as we had the Lions-Cowboys going against each other. Greg emerged victorious, and as a great man once said in one of the best movies of our time, I'm a man of my word.
There's no denying that. I appreciate it. I would feel better about victory lapping this if CeeDee Lamb had played the full game and stayed healthy. Would have been an entirely different game and maybe an entirely different result for your parlay. But nonetheless, I appreciate you holding true to our terms. On today's show, we've got a fun one for you. We'll do Week 14 takeaways from the NFL. We'll go over some wins from our weekend. We've got an early preview of the slate for Week 15. Dave's fantasy waiver wire is back. I've got college basketball picks for you for Tuesday night. And without NBA King of the Court tonight, we'll take a little bit of a deep dive into the NBA slate overall. But first, let's look back on some wins from the weekend.
Should have bet that.
I did have the Lions game, at least on the Lions side of things offensively, pretty pegged. A lot of Jahmyr Gibbs through the air. David Montgomery more active on the ground. Our same game parlay cashed at plus 525 on the Detroit side of things. So if you did tail both of us from last week, you did come out way ahead, but there were plenty of other wins as well.
Yep, College Corner, also Greg, and the Dimers model, 2-1. Very good run there the last 3 weeks. Best bets for the NFL, 2-1. Great run there, 7-1 going back to week 12. If you remember, we swept the week before Thanksgiving, hit the 2 on Thanksgiving. So a pretty nice run there. I mean, it was a hook on the Bears to keep us to, which of all plays, our personal favorite of the bunch, one we liked on both episodes. They were right there. I think they probably could have done a little better there at the end. But they were, once again, hanging in late at the game and almost getting it done with some heroics. But nice to be on the right side of the hook for the Bengals. Kind of a weird plus 5.5 number, ends on a plus 5. Good spot. And the Titans play was a great model pick. They won outright. Twice now in just a couple weeks, we've seen that big 60% or over spread probability early in the week. That ended up being a best bet level on Thursday. Cash the dog outright. So a little good spot for the model there. Small sample size, but you see that big probability, probably something to zero in on. My play of the week cash, James Cook receiving ladder. Didn't go mega. Thank you. Didn't go mega. He only got 2 receptions, but he made the most of them with 31 receiving yards. Pulled that whole thing up 15, 20, 25, and 30. So pretty good stuff there. Don't win everything. Chris Rodriguez TD play was a bit of a bust. He did get his looks anyway, but no luck on the round robin either. But overall, a lot of wins on the show last week.
A lot of wins. That was a very good week for this program. We've had plenty of good weeks for this program, but a high quantity, high volume of some individual plays that hit last week. If not for Joe Burrow's improbable back-to-back interceptions in the Snow Bowl too, I thought we had 2 outrights from our best bets against the spread last week. So I enjoyed it. If you're looking for plus money value, sometimes whatever the highest edge spread plays are, sometimes just throw a little extra on the money line too. And I feel like that's probably a profitable endeavor over the course of the season. Dimers Pro reminder, that's what you need. All these insights that we use to bake into our official cards every single week. We are taking the probabilities, the edges, the prop value directly from our model. You can get all of this information in real time with Dimers Pro. 50% off your purchase of Dimers Pro if you use promo code podcast as a first-time buyer. Take advantage. And you know what? If you've got friends that are into sports betting, it's a beautiful giving time of year. What better Christmas gift than a little Dimers Pro gift subscription? I think that'd be a nice way. Send it to the group chat, folks. You'll thank me later. All right, Dave, let's turn our attention backwards one more time. Let's give our takeaways from Week 14 in the NFL.
The week that was.
The Colts have fallen apart.
Yeah, the fourth in the series, Colts have fallen. London has fallen. White House has fallen. Whatever they were, Colts have fallen. This might be the biggest fall from grace we've ever seen. I mean, forgive me if I'm forgetting any, but this could be some recency bias. But it's really just unreal. This team was 8-1, the number one seed in the AFC. They had a comeback player of the year, offensive player of the year, arguably MVP, coach of the year candidate, all at the same time. They're now going to miss the playoffs. Most likely. Obviously, anything can happen. They're plus 2,200 to win this division, minus 400 to miss the playoffs. They got the Seahawks and Texans elite defenses coming up, and they are turning to Phillip Rivers to step in and save them. I don't know what it is. I understand not wanting to throw in the towel after the start you had and the way things are looking, but I mean, guy last played in 2020. He's 44 years old. He has grandchildren, apparently. It feels like satire here. But yeah, signed to the practice squad as of this afternoon. And it's just crazy. I can't believe we're here. The Texans ahead of the Colts in the race now. And yeah, hopefully you caught the Jags to win the division at any of the points. We talked about the value on the show. And like I said, yeah, Texans aren't out of it either. So just wild stuff.
It's crazy to think that Phillip Rivers is who they turn to here. Honestly, this was like last week when I had the flu. If you needed to replace me, it's like you calling in Lee Corso to host this podcast. There surely is a better option here. From an entertainment standpoint, I'm excited to see what happens, but like, I loved this team in the middle of the season. Like, they were the most fun offense to watch. I didn't want that to fall apart. And obviously the Daniel Jones injury is one thing that feels like the final knife here, but just a sad development for the Colts, you know?
Yeah. No real other way to say it.
No, bummer. All right. Well, if you're out on the Colts, I'm out on some money teams. That's right. I'm out on my Bills. I'm out on my Bucs. Two things I normally like to collect in abundance. Not this week. No. I get the Bills won this game. Come on. You were at home in a snow bowl against a 4-win Cincinnati team playing from behind for 55 minutes. We've spent so much time talking about how there are serious flaws with this Bills team. Look, I'm still waiting for our NFL futures model to update here as well. My guess, the Bills came into this week as the highest probability, according to our model, to win the Super Bowl. My guess is after beating Cincinnati, that's probably not going to change. But I'm fading it. And I very rarely look our model in the eyes and say I don't buy it. This just doesn't pass the smell test to me. I'm frustrated with the Bills. It feels like they avoid disaster whenever they eke out these wins that, there's been no dominant performances. And I would think in a bad weather game at home, this would have been a great opportunity for that. Instead, T. Higgins was like dancing all over their secondary in a blizzard, and there was nothing they could do about it. With a concussion, just strange. And then on the flip side, if the Colts have the most disappointing I guess crash and burn here, the Bucs have to be close. I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago that you and I both said we were interested in maybe investing in like a long shot Bucs play, either to win the NFC or even maybe potentially a Super Bowl ticket. We certainly look foolish in hindsight for that now. Obviously, the Bucky Irving injury has hung over the season, but they've now lost 4 of 5. They're very fortunate to survive that game against Arizona last week. Otherwise, it would have been 5 straight. You take a loss at home in a monsoon to the 2-win New Orleans Saints, to Tyler Shuck, who was slipping all over the field and still running all over your defense. I mean, Baker Mayfield's clutch gene was not up for the challenge this week, even though he had multiple chances in that second half to close the door shut. I think I got to say I'm officially out on both of these dollar teams, the Bills and the Bucs. No thank you for me.
Yeah, I'm on record calling the Bills frauds on this show earlier this season. I think I'm maybe a little hesitant to double down on it right now. I'll just stick with what I said then. But yeah, the Bucs, I mean, pretty big fall from grace as well. Not quite as dramatic, I think, as the Colts. They weren't quite, best offense in the league level. But yeah, got to be out on them. I mean, they are going to get Mike Evans back shortly, but Baker doesn't look quite his full self, even though that injuries to his non-throwing shoulder seems like it's hampering him. And yeah, seems like the field is narrowing dramatically to the Rams and not much else.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah. So team you should not be out on yet, I think, is the Bears. Don't count them out yet. I think there's still a little bit they can do here. 4 weeks to go. Not a lot of time left. 5-game win streak did come to an end this past week. They were right in it, though. They didn't look as clean early in the game as they did in the second half, but they've really found a rhythm with their run game. Almost had it again this past week. They got the Browns next week. Not as easy as it might have looked a couple weeks ago, but still a very winnable game. And then they have the Packers the week after. If they can get this win right back. Green Bay gets a really tough Broncos team next week. We're going to talk about that game more later. And then a Ravens squad that very flawed, but likely backs up against the wall the week after. So the week after the Bears-Packers game, that is, sorry. So plenty of opportunity for the Bears to get this back. A little bias here. I really want us to win that Jaguars, Panthers, Bears division winner we talked about 2 weeks ago, which is moving pretty well in that direction, save for this Bears hiccup this past week. So I think they got it. They got something in them. Don't count them out.
I'm being ran out of Detroit Lions circles right now because I won't give up on the Bears, and I'm not supposed to root for this team. They're like our biggest rival, and here I am, just like, I love Ben Johnson, man. I believe in this team. I truly was frustrated they couldn't pull out that game in Green Bay because they were right on the doorstep, and Ben got a little cute late, kind of trying to kill the clock and make sure Green Bay didn't get the ball back. They probably should have had a higher sense of urgency, but I still was impressed. I know they didn't win the game. Green Bay is very good. That was a raucous environment. I thought they played really up to Green Bay's level, if not outplayed them the whole second half. And that's a team I won't want to see in the playoffs for sure if they can find a way to break through. If you're going to keep the optimism with Chicago, I'm going to put all of my chips on one team. I think I know who's winning the Super Bowl this year. I think it's the Los Angeles Rams. I'm there. I'm all the way there. It's been the story of this year that there's parity at the top, that we can't really make sense of who it's going to be. At times we thought it was Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. The door is certainly open. What if the door isn't open? What if there's just a team atop their division running roughshod through the NFC right now that has only lost once in 3 months, that has the best offense in football, that has a Super Bowl winning quarterback, that has multiple receivers that are like on record pace right now, either for yards or touchdowns? There's no team I trust more than the Rams. And I just think you see so many teams, like even the Bills and Eagles, when they are fortunate enough to win, they weren't this week, that are flirting with disaster week after week and rolling the dice and eking out these close wins. When Los Angeles plays well, they're destroying teams. I mean, you go through their most recent wins in this, what is this? I think 7 of 8 streak right now. 35-7 over the Jags, 42-26 over the Niners, 45-17 over the Cardinals this week, 34-7 over the Bucs. Half of those teams are teams that should be in the playoffs or were going to be in the playoffs when they played the Rams and are now collapsing after losing to the Rams. I'm just all the way in on this bandwagon right now. I think sometimes, Stafford's old, and Kyron Williams can come in and out, and sometimes there's defensive questions. There's easy reasons to not believe in Los Angeles. It's been a few years since they've won it. They're staring us right in the face. They're a perennial playoff team. If every other contender is going to slowly fall apart, let's just back the team that looks like they're getting better and better week by week.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Like you said, they lost basically once in 3 months and came out swinging after that with an absolute dominant victory. Depth all the way around. Wide receiver, was it Colby Parkinson getting it done at tight end? Blake Corum just had his best game and is getting better and better. Scary team.
Yeah, I think they're the team to beat. Okay, let's turn forward now. That's enough looking back. It's week 15, and our early looks last week ended up going 1-2, although later in the week when we came back for the Thursday episode, we revised the card and ended up with a winning week. So hopefully we can get back on track with our early look ahead here. What are our top week 15 spread picks this week?
The early edge.
So going right back to a team that has cashed for us 2 weeks in a row, and it's the Bengals versus the Ravens. I'll just pull up all 3 of these here as we go through them. 58.2% probability, 6.3% edge. Got to be one of our model's favorite teams this season. I think we should maybe do like a little look back at what teams were the most profitable, see where the model was absolutely killing it throughout the full season. Maybe you do that at the end of the regular season or even with a few weeks to go, see if we can, gain a little extra edge there. But third week in a row for the Bengals on this program. Cashed outright with the money line 2 weeks ago. And we're going to see if we can get 3 straight on the spread. Ill-timed pick 6, as you mentioned, ultimately the big decider in this game. Bengals offense has, for the most part, been ripping with Burrow back, 32 and 34 points in his 2 games. Still, the defense, unfortunately, not really fixed. 2 additional TDs in that fourth quarter beyond the pick 6 that wasn't their fault. So even that aside, the team just struggles to contain pretty much any opponent for the most part. Still, they're like the ultimate dog to back on the spread because their offensive ceiling is so high. So it's no surprise to see them here for the third week in a row. Ravens side now dropped back-to-back games against AFC North opponents, which kind of has to deal an extra heavy blow to this as they're really in need of stringing together some wins to kind of come back. That they looked like they were doing no problem with their eyes closed for a few weeks there, but has kind of caught up to them. Just totally dysfunctional passing game. And while Derrick Henry's been productive, he's only cleared 100 rushing yards once in his past 5 games. 100 scrimmage yards one other time. We had a big, I think, 1 catch 4 yards a couple weeks ago. I think that might have been in the Bengals game, actually. Pretty nuts the Ravens didn't beat the Steelers, honestly. They really should have. You look at this box score, you look at how the game unfolded. They just could not capitalize at any key opportunity. DK Metcalf had a big game, 148 yards, but they held the team, the Steelers that is, to 34 rushing yards as a team. Receiving box score is like totally comical. Warren's their second highest receiver with 3 catches for 49 yards. Calvin Austin had 1 for 31. Gainwell had 6 for 27, and it's just the crumbs between the guys with Ben Skoranek, Adam Thielen off the waiver wire and stuff beyond them. So they couldn't beat that Steelers team. It's kind of hard to imagine they're going to contain an offense with the ceiling that the Bengals had. Overall, I think it's just pretty hard to trust Baltimore for any reason right now. And you're getting obviously not the best number here. You'd like 3.5, but they're home. They drubbed the Ravens just 2 weeks ago with ease and could set up to be a very similar game.
Yeah, you know me. If it's 2.5 and it's on the plus side, I'll probably just bet the money line. That's where my early lean on this is. I'm not going to officially put anything in until closer, just in case there's any last minute, injury updates either way here. But I think the Ravens have been a little bit overpriced all season long, certainly early when they were riddled with injury and losing left and right. And yes, they've righted the ship, but they're still, on the verge of really a terrible season by their standards right now. This is almost a must win for Baltimore, but at the same time, Bengals at home, they've been feisty. They've been pretty good when the model shows value in them, as last week showed. They were all over the Bills in that game. Joe Burrow's back healthy. So I have no surprise that Cincinnati is the side showing value here as a home underdog. It's probably going to make its way to my card in some form. If it gets to 3, it'll definitely be the spread play. If it's staying at 2.5, I'm probably just betting Cincinnati outright. Next up, we see the Broncos in a similar spot here, plus 2.5. I believe they're at home as well against the Packers here. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. 2 home teams here. Same spread, very similar value. 58.2% probability, 5.9% edge. Nice, gritty defensive clash in the cold, probably on tap here for week 15. Also got a 52% probability from our model of the under 43.5. So, probably lines up pretty well for a little underdog underplay here. Denver has held 4 of their last 5 opponents to fewer than 20 points. Most of them are not quite the Packers level. They played the Chiefs in there. Bengals, maybe. I'm forgetting. I should have put that in my notes. But, the Packers are probably the best team of those that they'll play. But they still boast one of the best defensive units out there in the NFL, no question. The Broncos are definitely in upset territory here. Our projected final score, 22-21. So a very narrow win margin in the average of our 10,000 plus simulations in these sims. So no money line value, though. You got to get fair odds of plus 130 or better. I did not see that this morning, so there's not currently a money line edge, but it is certainly a very close game, so they're in upset territory for sure. Trying to stay unbiased here. As I mentioned, I want that Bears division stock to stay alive, but I do definitely like the Broncos in this spot against the Packers. Offense is not super impressive, but they haven't lost since week 3, so they're doing something right. And unlike the Patriots, I'd say they've beaten some of the more competitive teams in the league in that stretch. Packers wise, I can see all the arguments for them covering, a full field goal as well. Just feel like we've seen them be more exploited this season. And, in terms of form, it's really hard to fade a team that's running as hot as the Broncos here. We don't need them to win either. Just cover the spread. In just one kind of a random note, but Jordan Love does have 3 games with 0 touchdown passes in his past 6 games. 2 of those were losses, and the Broncos allow the second fewest passing TDs this season, just 13 all year long. 1 a week, not even. So it's, tough, really tough matchup for the Packers to draw here with probably one of the more uninspiring wide receiver cores in the league, though I do love Christian Watson and, glaze him many times on this program. Not a great spot for the Packers.
Yeah, come down spot for sure. After the emotional rivalry win, take first place in the NFC North back. Now here's a trip to Mile High. That's a dangerous spot for sure. Broncos have just been nasty. I mean, they are probably the team we should be talking more about on this program. 11-2 this year overall, certainly a Super Bowl favorite at this point. And I mentioned it with Los Angeles. Feels like it's, they've had 1 loss in 3 months. Denver hasn't lost since week 3. They haven't lost at home all season. Right. It's crazy. It's been an autoplay right now. So, that team catching points at home is for sure jumping out at me right now. And no disrespect to Green Bay, but against anybody. I don't think I'd bet against Denver in my high at all against any team in this league. So this is one for sure I'll be betting the money line. And it's a phrase I love to say that has taken on a role of its own in my life, but home dogs are not dogs. They're wolves, Dave. If you're going to give me the points for good teams at home, I'm going to take those every time and back the home underdog. And I think both Cincinnati and Denver qualify for that this week. If only Miami was at home, this would have made it a clean 3-for-3 sweep. But instead, they're catching 3 points on the road against the Steelers. Still a high probability and a pretty ridiculous edge here. What do you see?
Yeah, not a team I think we've talked about maybe at all on this show this season. They have snuck up as a moneyline underdog edge a couple times, barked there and cashed once or twice. I think to start off their little win streak that they're on, actually, pretty much right when we started rolling out the model reports, we had them featured in there. But they are here now. We got them Monday Night Football against the Steelers, so we're looking all the way ahead. Lowest probability of these 3, but 56.5%, still pretty sizable. 6.5% edge. Winners of 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. The Dolphins are making probably a futile push for the playoffs. They need to pick up at least 2 games with some help in the final 4 weeks, but they're showing some fire at least a little bit. They're not playing the hottest teams in the league, but they're looking pretty good on both sides of the ball. 30 points in 2 games. Defense has not allowed more than 17 points on this little 4-game win streak. Definitely need Devon Achane in this one. Left early with a rib injury on Sunday. Did not return. Mike McDaniel did say he could have come back if they needed him, and it was his decision. So I would imagine he was trending towards playing, especially with the extra day and this game not being until Monday. But Achane's the absolute engine of this offense. Jalen Wright might have put up 107 yards on 24 carries in relief. Has got some people buzzing for a little waiver wire pick. But if Achane plays, he's going to go back to his relief unit and a reserve role rather. And Achane, don't forget, had 105 total yards on 7 carries and 1 reception before leaving this game. He was still ripping, doing what he does best. He's elite. Will be very difficult for the Steelers to slow down on Monday night. The Steelers team barely survived this past week thanks to an overturned Isaiah Likely touchdown at the end of the game. Looks like they just are making up their game plan by throwing whatever sticks or throwing whatever at the wall and seeing what sticks. They might be first in the AFC North, but they've only won 3 times since week 6. Got an absolute gift from the Ravens early in the year, 5-game cushion from them. So I just don't like what I'm seeing from Pittsburgh most weeks. Would call the Colts game their only convincing victory. They did beat the Bengals 34-12 in the rematch of the Unk Bowl, but that game was like 13-9 with 30 seconds to go in the third quarter before Flacco threw a pick six, and it just kind of went off the rails from there. I will just say, all that said, faith in the non-existent faith in the Steelers aside, the Dolphins are winning these games in really strange fashion. I did use this point against Jordan Love earlier, so I have to acknowledge it here. Tua has 0 TD passes in 4 of his last 7 games, yet they've still managed to win 5 of those. The game plan is basically just give the ball to Devin Achane. If he scores, that's a drive. If he doesn't and they're close enough, it's a Riley Patterson field goal. I meant to check how many he has, but going through their scoring drives and analyzing how they're moving the ball, it is just Riley Patterson, Devin Achane, and basically back and forth between those two. So, take it with a grain of salt, I guess. It is the Dolphins, but they've looked a lot better than the Steelers lately. You're basically just sticking with the better-looking team against the team in disarray here. And I'll say it's an early value play. Probably not going to see a ton of line movement unless Achane or Metcalf sits. No indication either will right now. And you got until Monday with this one. So you can probably wait and see how the model feels about it. But it's a pretty solid probability. And with Miami catching underdog value to win as well, it does look like a good spot for the Dolphins.
Yeah, Miami, I mean, maybe the quietest turnaround in the league right now. 4 consecutive wins, and I didn't even realize it until midway through the Jets stomping last week. I'm like, whoa, they haven't lost in a while. The Dolphins for 3 years have been a legitimate threat. I mean, yeah, sure. Have they made a playoff run? No, but like they've been one of the better teams in the league more often than not when healthy. Obviously, without Tyreek Hill this year, it's been a strange year, and I think the entire staff has been kind of coaching for their jobs. And there's been a response here legitimately that I think cannot be ignored any longer. I think, on the road against Pittsburgh on its face here is not a spot I would circle, but I also wouldn't have circled Miami at all in the last 4 weeks. And, they stomped the Bills 4 weeks ago. They went on the road to New York and left no doubt last week in a similar type game where, are the Jets bad? Sure, but it's a cold weather game, and typically that's a good spot to fade Miami. I would expect more of the same here. Just, I don't know. Pittsburgh in a come down spot. I think it makes sense. This is kind of a sleepy, we should handle business spot. The NFL is weird, and with how hot Miami's been, it wouldn't be a surprise to see them win it outright. So I can see the angle here as well. 3 underdogs, 3 teams catching points is lucrative enough for me to pay my full attention here. There you have it. There's our early against the spread picks for week 15. Dimers Pro is what you need to get these insights for every single game every week as they update throughout the week. As lines move, as prices on all of these bets move, you will see things change. Sometimes it will flip from one side to the other as the side that shows value. Sometimes it presents opportunities to middle your bets before the games even get here. You'll want to be able to check this anytime you want. And you need Dimers Pro to do that. Promo code podcast. You can get 50% off of Dimers Pro to access all of this on your own. Next up, it's Dave's Fantasy Waiver Wire.
The Fantasy Waiver Wire.
Dave, I have a confession. I missed the playoffs in my money league this year, and it's not for lack of trying through your waiver wire picks. So thank you for keeping me alive. But you are going to help some other people win their leagues here.
Yes, I'm going to try. I made my fair share of leagues. I missed one league. I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Judkins, Nico Collins, and it's an IDP league with Max Crosby, who is the 3rd-ranked edge rusher. Guy's gotten me like 30, 40, 50 points several times this season. I missed that by 1. So pretty salty about that. But I did make playoffs in half my leagues. Number 1 seed in this work league here. Although I've drawn a formidable matchup with Mr. Commissioner Mac Douglas in the first round. So I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse to be the best in this one. So we'll see what we can do for you this week. Chris Rodriguez didn't really help us much. 10 carries for about 52 yards. But he does have a great matchup on deck this week with the Giants. So if you made the playoffs, you still got him in the wings. Our other running back, Blake Corum, had an absolutely huge day, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyren Williams is playing well. Corum's looking better and better, so hopefully you grabbed him. He'll be a stash if not, and he's still out there, so you can get him anyway. No bye weeks, so we're done with those. Players are a little sparse out there, but we've got a few who could help you down the stretch. Few injuries, players like CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins with concussions, so you might have a need out there, and we'll see what we got. First off, for some running backs, Blake Corum back out there. If he's still out there, he's got to be on a roster. 50-plus yards in 4 of his last 6 games. 3 touchdowns in his past 2 games. Like I said, Kyren Williams is not going away. He's certainly not going to cede his job to Blake Corum, but Corum is looking better and better as he's progressing, and his touchdown equity is certainly going up. We've got him for a 34% touchdown probability, and 41 rushing yards this week is very much in play as a touchdown threat down the stretch. Bam Knight as well. Kind of surprised he's out there still. 37% rostered. He's been filling in pretty well for the Cardinals. Little bump last week, but previously had double-digit points in 3 straight games. Trey Benson appears to have suffered a setback, so he should be RB1 for Bam rest of the way. He's got the Bengals on tap in Week 17 for a really good finals championship or fantasy finals matchup. 37.7% TD probability and 33 rushing yards this week. But like I said, really good matchup with the Bengals on tap in a couple weeks' time. For receivers, bit of a injury dependent here with Ryan Flanoy. CeeDee Lamb does have until or he's got 10 full days to clear the protocol because of the game on Thursday. So there's a really good chance that Flournoy will not be very fantasy relevant. However, Lamb is in the protocol. Status is TBD. And Flournoy has filled in for CD specifically twice, great this season. Just caught 9 passes for 115 and a touchdown. Like I said, not the first time he stepped up. Probably only worth it if Lamb sits, which he may not, but he'll be a fantasy wide receiver 2-3 in this offense if he does. Luther Burden of the Bears could be in line for a little bit of an uptick as the season goes on here. He's seeing more targets than he was pretty much all season, coming off his best game since the Cowboys game back in week, 3? Not saying a whole lot as he had some real quiet ones in that span, but 5+ targets in 4 straight games, which are all season highs. The Bears do need to generate more production from their wide receiver core, and it kind of feels like he's the one in line for it. DJ Moore isn't being very efficient, and feels like a big day is coming for Burden. We've seen the big playability from him. Got a 9.5-point PPR projection this week, 44.9 receiving yards, 16.1% TD probability. Tough matchup kind of with the Browns, but probably a guy you want to at least have stashed in case you find yourself in need of a receiver. Tight end, Harold Fannin Jr. We've talked about him before on this show, and he's as fantasy viable as he ever has been. He's still only 40% rostered in leagues, so he's available in the majority. 8-catch, 114-yard, 1 touchdown game in week 14, followed up his 43-yard, 1 touchdown game in week 13. Both of those games, Shedeur Sanders under center. He's looking for him. You could probably start him with confidence the rest of the way as a tight end 1. Bears haven't been elite against tight ends, and you're probably going to be able to get Bannon in any 10-team league. There's a good chance he's out there. Projected 11.8 PPR points, 32% touchdown probability, and 4.5 receptions for 47.5 yards. So bit of PPR gold right there, about a 10-point floor. Pretty good stuff. And can't believe I'm saying this, but if you need a quarterback badly, you can look at Saints rookie Tyler Shough. He's like 40 years old, but he's got games of 19, 18, and 22 fantasy points over the Saints' past 4 games. 6+ carries in each of those. 6 total touchdowns in that span. Panthers, Jets, and Titans on deck for some pretty good matchups in the fantasy playoffs. Project them for 18.0 PPR points, 234.8 passing yards, though, isn't nothing. and 16.1% rushing TD probability. Could do worse than that if you need somebody, and it's pretty stingy out there at this point in the season. So if you need somebody, need a dart throw, he'll definitely get you more than Jalen Hurts and Tyrod Taylor did this past week, which was negative points.
This is why fantasy football is the best, right? The biggest
Yeah.
names can randomly have a Jalen Hurts week, and it's Tyler Shook who can win you a league. No, I like the Shook shout, particularly so because, especially with quarterbacks, at this point in the season, let's just be real about it. There are franchises that are trying to lose games. And sometimes when there are franchises that are trying to lose games, there are individual players that are trying to get a contract and make their career that conflicts with their franchise clearly trying to lose games. And Tyler Shook is one. You mentioned his age. Like, if he is ever going to have a legitimate role in this league long term, he needs to play well and he needs to get people's attention. And going on the road to Tampa Bay and making plays in a monsoon is a good way to potentially put yourself on the radar to earn a contract one day. He's been brilliant, and he's not going to win the sex appeal contest as far as quarterbacks go, but he might win you your fantasy league if he's still available and you can pick him up. Matchup dependent, even if you've got good quarterbacks, if you're in like a 2-quarterback league, I would pick him up and possibly look at starting him over some of the bigger names in the league. He's been electric. So I like that shout, Dave. I like all the shouts this week. Harold Fannon's been amazing as well. So, yeah. Thank you.
I'd be in if I went Shook over Tyrod Taylor. That's single-handedly pretty much what kept me out of that league with Max Crosby was my -0.76 points from Tyrod Taylor. I lost by about 20. So pretty much any other QB.
Brutal.
I won't tell you who else I had on my bench.
There's still time. I'm setting the over at 1.5 for championships won by you in fantasy football this year.
Dang, that'd be good. I'm due.
We'll get the update. All right. And reminder, the nature of this waiver wire is we do it on Tuesdays. So it is a quick turnaround, right? Because as you're trying to set fantasy lineups, this is the earliest that we can do it. Your waiver should process within 24 hours or so. And then you've got games starting on Thursday every single week in the NFL. We have given out some pretty helpful pickups throughout the season. It's fantasy football playoff time now. And as far as streaming candidates go, we'll continue to have you covered. So subscribe so that you can get this pod as quickly as it drops on Tuesdays. Maximize your benefit from the Dimers Sports Betting Podcast. Next up, it's my turn for the College Corner in College Hoops.
College Corner.
It's another big Tuesday night slate. These are always good ones at this time of year. I've got 3 games on the card tonight that have my full attention, that the model loves as much as I do. We are going to start with the Indiana Hoosiers against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Indiana, 14.5-point favorites here. As you see, a 56% probability, that they cover this number. Indiana started the season 7-0. Ran up the metrics. Analytics loved them, put them around the 20th best team in the country after starting the season around 40th in the country. They've come back to earth a little bit, 2 straight losses to Minnesota on the road and then Louisville, where they were down 16 points early in a very flat performance in a big game over the weekend. Well, this is a get-right opportunity. You're back home for the first time in 2 weeks. You're playing a Penn State team that is arguably the worst team in this Big Ten conference. Penn State has flirted with disaster this year, despite their 8-1 record. They have wins by single digits over teams such as Fairfield, Navy, Harvard, Boston U. They have really been in the grind in those games and emerged victorious with late game separation, but this is just not a formula that's going to work into Big Ten play. Indiana is due for a big-time shooting positive regression game after a couple quiet performances from their stars, Lamar Wilkerson and Tucker DeVries. And point blank, there just isn't much resistance expected from a Penn State defense that includes a lot of youth, a lot of guys that just are not familiar with guarding at this level. So I expect Indiana to boost their analytics a little bit more. They've beaten up on every cupcake they've played this year. I think Penn State qualifies. Give me the Hoosiers -14.5. Next up, we stay in the Big Ten Conference, and this one might surprise some people, but we've got Ohio State at home against Illinois. This line has been on the move for the last 24 hours. I believe it opened at Ohio State +2.5, got all the way up to 4.5. Now it's back down to 3.5, where our model shows a 56% probability of that hitting. I will say this. Illinois is one of my favorite teams this year. When they play to their ceiling, they are extremely talented and explosive. They also have not handled adversity overly well. When they've gotten in the mud in strange spots, they've kind of tucked their tails and just played to their floor. And their floor is pretty low. Ohio State is a team that at home I think is particularly potent. This is one of the best offenses in the country. They're the number 1 2-point offense in America. They've got Bruce Thornton, who is playing like a National Player of the Year candidate right now. He's the most efficient volume scoring guard in the entire sport. I think Illinois is going to have their hands full. And importantly to me, spot-wise, this is one of those emotional roller coaster spots for an Illinois program. Like I said, they don't handle those ups and downs overly well. Coming off a neutral floor win over Tennessee, in which they were really flat for 20 minutes, but stormed away with it in the second half. To me, if they start flat tonight against Ohio State, they lose this game. Even if they don't start flat, this is going to be a 40-minute grind in a way I'm not sure Illinois is going to be able to handle coming off the high of the win against Tennessee. We'll take Ohio State plus the points, plus 3.5. I wouldn't bet this lower than plus 2.5 if the line does keep moving. Certainly if it goes in the other direction, I love it even more. And then last but not least, this is probably the biggest game of Tuesday night. We've got UConn against Florida. This is in Madison Square Garden in New York City. So not exactly a home game for the Huskies, although, East Coast, the Huskies travel well. You would expect this to be more UConn fans than Florida fans. UConn has an opportunity here for vengeance. Dan Hurley is the baddest vengeance-seeking coach in all of college basketball. He's won 2 of the last 3 national championships. The one time he didn't win a national championship was last March when he lost to Florida by 1 possession in the NCAA tournament. That Florida team went on to win the national championship. This year's Florida team is not that good. This year's Florida team has some growing pains. Xavion Lee, their star transfer point guard, has not filled in the shoes of Boogie Flan the way it was expected. He's really struggled to see his shots going in. UConn's got so many high-quality defenders in the backcourt they can throw at him. Silas Demery, Malachi Smith are both going to stay fresh in this game. The big question is, will UConn center Terrace Reed play? And I haven't heard an update on that. Hurley was kind of playing some mind games in the press conference that he's day-to-day, and without Terrace, who knows what we're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Terrace Reed plays tonight, but even if he doesn't, UConn's gotten some big wins without Terrace Reed in big roles this season as well. They can get this done. I like UConn -4 in a vengeance revenge game for Dan Hurley over the Gators. Indiana -14.5, Ohio State +4.5, UConn -4 are the 3 picks for your College Corner on Tuesday night.
Very good stuff. I once again will be watching the UConn one purely as a fan, as I cannot bet on them, but I love to see the card. Obviously a very different squad, but yeah, UConn's feels pretty at home in Madison Square Garden. They've had quite a few moments there, so pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
here as always, Greg.
The Dimers account had the Kemba Walker moment. That was good vibes. That was before we even locked UConn in on the card today. So the whole Dimers brand is behind this one, Dave. I love it.
Yeah. I love me some Huskies.
I love it. All right, college hoop season is far from over. We've got 3 more months of this, so stay tuned. The Dimer Sports Betting Podcast will continue to bring you these college basketball bets all season long. Next up, let's turn our attention to the NBA. There is no King of the Court promotion tonight, which is a bummer for NBA fans, but there are some other ways you can bet this league, as always. First baskets, player prop targets, and a best bet against the spread as well. Take us through it all, Dave.
Yep. So we got a good bit of stuff we could look at here. Only the 2 games, NBA Cup, Raptors, Knicks, and Heat Magic. We did show a little bit more money line value in one of these games earlier, but we've got a good spread pick here. And Heat Magic, Heat -1.5 has 55.5% probability, 5% edge from the model. The money line edge is there, 1.6%, 52.8% probability, was a little higher earlier. Still value, just getting higher value with the -1.5, and it's a single point more for the Heat to cover there. I think they've only won a single game by just 1 point this season, so pretty narrow win margin to land on there. Magic have lost 2 of their past 3. Heat on a 3-game losing streak, including just a 1-point loss to the Magic last week. However, Magic just lost Franz Wagner, top scorer, to a high ankle sprain on Sunday. Paolo Banchero's back after like a 3-4 week absence, but he hasn't looked quite himself in limited minutes since returning. 16 points, 1 board, 2 assists in 24 minutes the other day. 9 points, 6 boards, 2 assists in just 20 minutes in his first game back. Without Franz, you got a healthy Heat team that just barely lost to the same Magic squad that was healthy on Friday. Looks like a pretty good spot to roll with the model here. Look at some first basket stuff real quick. I'll just pull up our top 10 overall probabilities. You can check out this full article on site and see all of our edges, see the top 15. Also have the full list in the Dimers Discord that drops around 2 p.m. every day, so that should be live in there now. Overall top probabilities in each game. You got Norman Powell at 13.8% plus 650. Fair odds there. I believe he has hit 5 first baskets this season, one of the highest in the league. And then Brandon Ingram at 12.8% and plus 500 odds. That's it. Knicks Raptors. No edge there, but he is the top probability. He's also the sportsbook favorite. And then just looking at it, edges, best edge in each game, Jalen Suggs, 11.7%, plus 900 on FanDuel, fair at plus 750. Emmanuel Quickly in Raptors Knicks at 10.8%, plus 1,000, fair at plus 825. Got a little former team narrative there. Maybe they get him the ball first. Nice edge there. Would be just 9% according implied probability according to the sports books. Like I said, though, you can check out that full list in the article on the homepage and in the Discord. And then a real quick look at the projections hub. Got some interesting double-double threats, guys in the double-double range here. Scotty Barnes at 22.6 points, 8.6 boards. He's plus 165 for a double-double. Josh Hart, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 8.7 rebounds, plus 155 for a double-double. Bam Adebayo, 16.9 points, 8.4 boards, plus 110. Wendell Carter, 11.6, 8.2 rebounds, plus 280. So check out all the positional matchups. Check out these guys' usage and stuff to see if they can go just a little bit higher. But they're within 1.5 rebounds here of a double-double, all at plus money. So some pretty interesting looks. Just a good way to use the NBA Projections Hub. Kind of one of the things I'm looking at when selecting those long shot king of the court targets, which have been pretty accurate so far. So just a good, helpful way to use the projections to your advantage.
Love it. All right. Thank you very much, Dave. Plenty of NBA as well as basketball season rolls on, both in college and the professional world. There are so many options to bet NBA, and Dimers Pro is trying to help you sort through all of them. We've got all these projections and probabilities for any possible way you want to bet NBA action. You can access it all with Dimers Pro. Promo code podcast. Get your 50% off with Dimers Pro. Before we close the show this week, we do want to give a shout out to our champ of the week.
The Pro Champ of the Week.
Speaking of those NBA projections, it was Crafty Rascal in the Dimers Discord this week that during the NFL slate, while everyone was paying attention to football, hit a huge ticket here with our NBA projections. Tell us more.
Yeah, it was indeed Crafty. Popped it into the winning slips on Sunday night, the channel in the Discord. Used the NBA predictions from the games, cash a 135-1. Same game parlay, Hornets spread and the under, Grizzlies spread and the under, Warriors spread and the under, Lakers spread and the under, all according to them, straight from the Dimers Pro projections, picking all 4 games perfectly. I had a little fun with this in the WNBA, hit one of these the previous season with the projections. Almost got a 1 on a 5 game slate this year. Really helpful stuff in there with those predictions. Sometimes if you don't see the best bets, you can still use the probabilities and the projections and final scores and whatnot to your advantage. Shout out Crafty Rascal. Very crafty here. Great work. Welcome to Champ of the Week status on the Dimers Pro Sports Betting Podcast.
One of the more appropriate names for a user after a ticket like this I've ever seen. What a rascal he is, hitting a ticket of this magnitude. Very impressive stuff. Congratulations, Crafty Rascal. Thank you for sharing with the Dimers Discord. Reminder, if you're out there listening to this, if you like the show and you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. We got a great community full of Dimer subscribers that are trying to use the Models Insights daily to go out and make some money together. And it's been fun to engage with Discord users as this show has continued to grow. Without further ado, let's touch on a few other things that are going on Dimers this week.
What's on Dimers this week?
College football bowl season is here. It's a college football playoff as well. Our futures model has not updated just yet. As soon as it does, we will take you through what our model predicts as far as national championship probabilities. But for now, bowl games are starting to be propagated on the site. You can see probabilities and edges for all of those. Just select week 17 in the drop-down menu of college football on the Dimers website. Not all of them are in yet, but they are slowly getting added every single day. Hopefully we'll be up by the end of the week. And bowl season is a hectic season for all parties involved. It feels like half these bowl games couldn't even get teams to sign up to play there this year. So our model will have you covered as soon as everything is finalized, but bear with us as that gets populated on the site this week. Outside of college football, there's plenty more to look forward to, Dave. What else do you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, watching the teams try to get picked for bowls is almost just as exciting as the bowls themselves. You need like a bracket for the picking of the bowls to go into a bracket. It's a thrill, honestly. There's really nothing quite like it this time of college football. It's really just super fun if you're a sports fan.
See, I envisioned we could get to a point where instead of a selection show, we have like deal or no deal, but it's bowl or no bowl. And like Notre Dame is up, like you can have the Cotton Bowl, deal or no deal. They're like, no deal. And then
they want Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
I want Pop-Tarts. Yeah. That would be great, actually. There's something to that, and they should certainly look into it. Maybe D2 can steal something and do their own thing. But yeah, anyway, Dimers is loaded all week long. You know it, guys. NBA, NHL, college basketball all week long, every day. NFL coverage will be updating constantly now through Thursday's kickoff all the way up to Monday Night Football. Our deep dive into Week 15 will be on Thursday's show. As always, we'll have our personal plays, our best bets, touchdown picks, and all our little looks at the slate. And anything else between now and then, you'll find on dimers.com. At your fingertips.
Right there for you. All right, Dave. Thank you, as always, to our listeners. We appreciate you, as always. We will be back on Thursday. Gamble responsibly in the meantime. We'll see you then.